This morning on the news show, updates on Dan Ashworth to Manchester United and what it's going to cost United to actually get him away from Newcastle. We'll speak about that. We're also going to talk about Michael Olise, Crystal Palace to Manchester United. The deal is on and Fabrizio Romano has been confirming that. And finally, we're going to talk about Xiao Neves and the actual realistic possibility of Manchester United trying to sign him above, I suppose, every other European club in Europe. Let's get into it. So we're going to start with Dan Ashworth to Manchester United, of course. It's the big talking point over the last few days. We heard yesterday, of course, that he is the number one choice for United to go out and get Ineos. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, they want him. They want him to be the first ever director of football at the club. And reports are coming out over the past maybe 24 hours or so that Manchester United are going to have to pay some, I suppose, contributions towards Newcastle to actually get him out of his contract. And reports are suggesting anywhere up to 10 million if they want to prize Dan Ashworth away from Newcastle. There's also a 12-month gardening leave in Ashworth's contract, and Newcastle will insist that the full term is adhered to unless Manchester United pay above and beyond the asking price, which is, I think it's 6 million, which is the actual amount that is going to probably get him out of Newcastle. And where we're hearing the £10 million from is to actually maybe lower that gardening leave. Now, we did see this gardening leave with Omar Barada. Technically, he has left Manchester City, but he technically hasn't started work at Manchester United, and he won't do so until the summer because of this gardening leave. And it is something that's implemented in an awful lot of contracts, for employees behind the scenes at football clubs, and it's within business in general. Look, Dan Ashworth, while he won't be able to take over straight away, well, it depends on Manchester United and how much they pay towards Newcastle. If they can shorten that gardening leave, or whether they can, I suppose, just make it null and void completely and he can start work straight away. Again, we did see with Omar Barada that he doesn't have to, I suppose, officially see out his gardening leave, before he can be, I suppose, given his opinion and given his expertise on certain situations. And I think the same would be the case with Dan Ashworth. He's going to be in communication with Jim Ratcliffe, Dave Brailsford, probably even Eric Ten Hag in relation to players being signed between now and the summer. If he does have to serve a gardening leave, that won't allow him to take up the role until maybe the summertime. But look, the sooner the better. It's all positive news from a United standpoint. In relation to Dan Ashworth himself, Fabrizio Romano has come out and said that he is ready to say yes to Manchester United and the project after positive discussions with Ineos. He made it known to Newcastle and United that he is interested in the role, and it now depends on the two clubs and the negotiations that we're seeing between them in the coming days and weeks. Now look, £10 million would be a drop in the ocean for Manchester United to get somebody as valuable as Dan Ashworth. We know what he's done in the past, with Wigan, with Brighton, of course with Newcastle as well, signed very, very good players for all teams. And listening to a podcast only, was it yesterday I was listening to it, about it, and I think it was in relation to Wigan, and basically saying when he arrived, everything just started working properly. And then when he left, it went the other way. So Manchester United are going to be getting a very, very good employee here and a good director of football if it can be done. The sooner the better. Let's hope the gardening leave won't be as long as, like we're reading here, 12 months. I don't think it would be. I think if that was the case, I couldn't envisage Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos going for Dan Ashworth if he did have to see out a 12-month gardening leave. So it's positive news. Let's see what happens in the next couple of days. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Now let's talk transfer news, and we're going to be talking about Michael Olise. Now we spoke about him in the past, and we do know that Manchester United have been linked with him in the past few weeks. It all is in relation to the summer transfer window. There were certain reports coming around in January about a potential link between United and the player. Obviously, we know United weren't going to be making any signings at all now, in hindsight, in January. But this is a player that Manchester United seem to have really, really good and strong interest in. And Fabrizio Romano was speaking about it as well. Fabrizio Romano says Manchester United scouting department have approved Michael Olise. The interest in Olise from the club will be there this summer, and he will be under consideration. Let's see what Dan Ashworth decides to do. Now again, all of the links that we're probably going to see, and again we'll talk about another player in a moment that United are being linked with, it all depends on Dan Ashworth coming in. He's going to be coming in as the footballing director, and he's probably going to have the overarching say on who Manchester United sign and who they don't sign. It is going to be a collective, of course it will be, between him and Ten Hag, and I don't know if Omar Barada is going to be involved in that, or Dave Brailsford, whoever it may be. But Dan Ashworth will probably have the deciding factor on it. And look, when it comes to Olise, I think he would be a fantastic option for that right-hand side. I really do. I think he's a very, very good player. Would we be moving maybe the likes of Anthony on as well? Maybe so. I mean, you're looking at getting Olise for anywhere between 50 and 60 million euro. So maybe 45 to 50 million pounds. And I think for that type of money, you're getting a really, really good footballer. I think if we do move the likes of Anthony on, it will... I don't think you're going to be getting an awful lot of money for the likes of Anthony, but it will certainly help when you're going and spending 50, 60 million on a player like Olise. The one worry that I do have with him is his injury. And he's had, I think, 3 hamstring injuries already this season, which is not good. Now, again, some of that, an awful lot of that is down to Crystal Palace. They were, I suppose, told not to play him, and then he gets injured. Was it 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes into the game? Again, that's something that United will have to look at quite closely. You don't want to be going out and getting an injury-prone player and bringing him in for big money, especially in an area of the field and an area of the squad that United have had, numerous woes with over the past few years. That right-hand side is an area that we really need to strengthen for the long term. Obviously, we know Garnacho has been playing really well there. Bringing in someone like Olise, that will maybe challenge him for that right-hand side and maybe open up a little bit of an option then for maybe pushing Garnacho back onto the left, and he can, then put a bit of pressure on Rashford to keep that left-hand spot. I like having players who can play both left and right, and I think Olise can do that as well, and I think it will provide some just competition for the forward line there, and one that's well needed. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Would you go for Olise given the injuries that he's had already this season? Would you go for him, or would you move on to somebody else? Now, and finally, we're going to talk about Xiao Neves and the links that Manchester United have with the player. Look, they continue to roll on, but it's not only Manchester United. It's the majority of the top clubs in Europe that are being linked with this player. And I think whoever signs this player, whether it be the summer or not, is not going to have it easy, and they're going to have a lot of, competition on their hands. Now, he has been speaking about his future. He's only 19 years of age, but he has not ruled out a move away from Benfica in the summer, which is good news for all teams that have been interested in him. Look, we do know that Manchester United are going to need to, I suppose, improve that central midfield area, and while he is only 19 years of age, he's a sensational footballer. He really is. My concern here is, obviously, we've got some very young players within our squad. Rasmus Højlund is leading the line. We've got Garnacho on the wing. We've got Kobe Mainoo playing the central midfield. All of these players are top players for Manchester United. Now, putting another 19-year-old into the mix with United, I mean, Xiao Neves, if he does come to United, will want to play week in, week out, and rightly so. He has got the talent to do that. My concern is you do need to have some of them older heads within your team, sprinkle a bit of experience around there. Now, if you're talking about Varane, for example, leaving in the summer, if Xiao Neves comes in, he's probably going to take the likes of Casemiro's place. You're looking at a very, very young squad. You really are, and a young starting 11. Now, when it comes to Xiao Neves more than anything else, I think what is going to be a stumbling block for United, and the majority of teams that are probably going to be linked with him, is the asking price. He's got a buyout clause of £103 million, which is 120 million euros. This guy is not going to come cheap. And I think that's probably going to push Manchester United away from actually signing the player, if I'm being, completely honest. We're seeing all of these reports saying United, are really interested, but all of these reports are also saying nothing is advanced. Now, I don't think anything is going to be advanced at this stage of the season, when we're 3-4 months out from the transfer window opening again. I like the fact that United are being linked with these types of players. I really do. However, I don't think Xiao Neves is going to be a viable option for Manchester United. We know United need an overhaul of the squad. Now, we've been doing that over the past couple of transfer windows. And again, I go back to what we've said in previous windows. You need to find a balance between quality and quantity. If you're getting a quality player, but he's costing you 120 million, and then the quantity is down here because we can't afford to sign anybody else, then that's not helpful. United need I would say 5 signings in the summer. I would like to see 5 players come in. Centre back, probably 2 centre backs, a midfielder, a striker, and a winger. I think that would be the ideal scenario for United. But if you go out and pay 120 million for Xiao Neves, all of a sudden signing 5 players is unrealistic, and you can probably only sign maybe 2, 3 to be completely maxed out. Now, again, an awful lot will decide on how many players United can get off the books and what kind of money we can get in for players, whether it be Mason Greenwood, Jadon Sancho, and whoever else that, is deemed surplus to requirements at United in the summer. It's going to be a busy transfer window for United in the summer, and one that I'm very excited about under Ineos. I hope Eric Ten Hag is still at the helm as well, because I think he deserves a chance to get in there and prove himself under a structured club. But let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. Would you go for Xiao Neves at 120 million euro, or would you maybe spread that out over less talented players, but talented nonetheless? Let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. Smash a like on the video. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll be back tonight from 8 o'clock for our new show, as always. But until then, have a good day, and I'll see you in a bit.